This is Scituate State of Affairs, discussing government issues and town news, and we've already taken a look at that state of the town. Now it's time to flip that coin and look at the state of the schools. Scituate Public Schools in this new year. How's it going and where is it going in 2025? And a woman to help us answer all that, School Committee Chair Nicole Brandolini. Miss Brandolini, good to see you. Spend time with you in person as opposed to our usual format of Zoom.
Right.
Before we get to things, do we need to give a little shout out to the husband, Chad, for assisting or in making this happen?
I think so. I think that's appropriate.
What did he say? What did he say to you when he saw Andrew go to it? She's like, you need to call Seth.
He
You
did.
need to get
He
all
said,
this.
Andrew did a great job. These are great updates. Get in there and update everyone on the school.
Well done, Chad. Well done. Well done. All right, let's get to the state of the schools because there's a lot. 4 elementary schools, a middle school, a high school. We've got the administration. We have teachers. We have staff. We're going to try to break this down as easily as possible. 2 categories, really, academic achievements and building maintenance. Before we get to that, I want to start with communication because I've seen a big push from the administration on communication, whether it's with the app that's been redone, with superintendent's Thursday Thoughts, with school committee joining that weekly news update, and there's this new communication survey that's out there for residents to fill out.
Yes.
Talk about communication, where it is now and where it's going in 2025.
Sure. So communication kind of ebbing and flowing at Scituate Public Schools. We felt like maybe coming out of COVID that we were really sort of pretty aggressively but intentionally surveying a lot. We did, we had the thought exchanges that had come out. We were really looking to sort of get into that post-COVID sort of what do we need now, get our grounding and find our footing there. So there were a lot of surveys. We felt like we gained a lot of insight from those surveys, but you know, that also led to the strategic planning process, which encompassed several, few months of meetings with stakeholders. But we did eventually feel like we set into a little bit of some fatigue with surveying, that it was just a lot. We even heard feedback from people like, oh, a lot of surveys out there. So we did back off a bit with that. But now we felt like enough time had passed that we're really kind of had some questions and want to know what parents think, what teachers think, what stakeholders all around Scituate feel about the schools on a variety of topics. So we're kind of doing it more strategically this time with simple one-question surveys.
Right, I was just going to say, if no one fills out this survey, shame on them. It's literally one question.
Exactly. So simplicity is key. Those are coming out through Superintendent Burkhead's new initiative this year as well, sort of a return of the Thursday Thoughts. From previously. So just short, simple, just info gathering, feedback gathering, and then that, we take that seriously. It feeds into, directives that we apply in the district and changes that we'll make.
Sure. Let's talk about something that's not short or simple, the budget. We're currently in the budget season. The administration, Finance Director Tom Robb, Superintendent Bill Burkhead, they're making the rounds. They've appeared a few times on that school committee to present that budget. They go before the Select Board, Advisory Board, eventually going to town meeting. You've seen it. You've reviewed it. Directly, what are your thoughts on this budget?
Yeah, I'm really proud of our budget, and that encompasses, everybody in town. So smart planning with our town. We've got Jim Boudreau, Nancy Holtz, the Select Board, all very strong supporters of Scituate Public Schools and public education. The financial forecasting group is utilized really effectively in Scituate, where it's open conversations, and so we are able to kind of forecast, as it is, and plan ahead and know what's coming. And we in Scituate at the school side have taken that really seriously. So we were ready for what we knew would be slower growth, and so therefore we sort of knew adjusting to that was going to be smart and not overextending. So one key component to that was when we had our ESSER funding coming from the government from COVID, we invested that in infrastructure, we invested in curriculum and pieces there, and not necessarily in jobs or positions that we knew that those funds would eventually dry up. They did, and so we're not left with this gap in our budget. But we are seeing that in other towns happening where they're looking for overrides at special town meetings, looking for upwards of $4 million, or they're putting fees on families with athletics and student parking fees increasing in some districts, and we're not asking for any of that. We have no need for an override. We're able to fund the school system really appropriately and we're happy about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you mentioned to me about I looked at other school districts, and it does seem, especially on the South Shore, almost all of them are asking for more money, and
Right.
we're not.
We are not. We're really happy about that.
That's
that
great.
We have some wants, obviously, and teachers have some wants, and department chairs, and Superintendent Burkhead and Dr. Rabb were, really open and upfront about where we stand. So, we're being patient about that, but we're really happy that even with this, we are still able to invest really strongly in a new social studies curriculum for grades 6 through 12 this coming year in our 25-26 budget, and also into technology and safety and security there, which is a really big deal for us.
And there's a lot of money that comes from grants too. I want to ask you, there's
Yes.
Julie Ward, am I correct? You want
correct.
to talk about her and her role?
Julie Ward has been fantastic for us in this role. She has really aggressively gone after grants that can supplement and support student learning and offer programs to students that are really creative, really cool stuff. We've been able to get funding for really great math programming, even ones that were taking place over vacation weeks and stuff, just really great supplemental things there. She's currently working on a grant with the state for safety so that we can sort of improve that area over on 3A where our students are crossing. So anything we can do to offset and enhance things for students and even for teachers and staff, we support, and her job funds itself through the grants, so it's a no-brainer. So not only does she apply for these, but she also, it's a lot of work, and she's following through and really connecting the dots. We have a really cool program going on now that Julie was able to get this grant for that is really supplemental help for math, students in math in the middle school. So they're getting some pretty high level supports that are all grant funded that I don't know the exact totals right now, but her position has gotten us close to $1 million at this point over the years cumulatively in resources for our students. So
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, let's move on to academic achievements. You've sent in a lengthy list. I'm going to let you just roll with this,
I know.
okay? Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
tell us about these academic achievements.
Well, I did shorten the list, Seth, because I didn't want it to be daunting. But, I would encourage people to tune into our school committee meetings. These things come up in pockets. We're always talking about academic achievement. It's obviously why we're here. So academic achievement is paved through our strategic plan, really. So we look at that and we say, this is our blueprint. It illustrates the goals, the framework for how we measure success. And so we're looking to kind of follow our mission statement, which is that we inspire, support, and challenge all learners to reach their unique potential. This is a 5-year plan, and we're currently in year 2. The full multi-page document is available on cit.org, right on the homepage. That said, we have a few areas of focus from this past year. That includes our new Lexile level assessments for English language arts for grades 6 through 12. We've adopted a new science program for grades 7 through 12. We have our very rigorous Project Lead the Way engineering program, which is funded by a grant from the 1-8 Foundation. We've done our social studies department has done fantastic work with our civics action projects at the local and regional level. So we have students engaging in those opportunities quite a bit these days. We have established this AMIFA pathway and the MyCap academic and careers programming for students 6 through 10. So this is really helping students to determine possible career interests and skills and courses they need in those areas as they go through the high school. This current year, our biggest endeavor is implementing Envision's math for grades 6 through 12. It's a pretty aggressive implementation of this programming that's pretty much hitting half of our district at this point. That involves a lot of professional development for teachers and sort of working through the kinks and student feedback, teacher feedback. So it's been a big undertaking for us, and we're investing in the 25-26 year into our new social studies program. So those are just the tip of the iceberg, really, on all the goings-on in terms of academic-based programming.
Yeah, and I mean, it is impressive. I want to just And the school committee asks this too a lot when they're presented with the presentation. You see this, it's all great, but how do you measure the success or the impact it's happening on students? How do you see that?
Yeah, that's a great
Or
question.
can you see it?
I hear you. That's exactly where we're at, in fact. Those are the questions that we're asking in our meetings. So for folks that watch some of those recordings or tune in to those meetings, this is what you'll see, sort of us centering our questioning around when we're engaging with our leadership team at SPS. So, we support the investment in student achievement, clearly based upon all of those initiatives and more. And at this point, we feel like we really have been following that, and we've been investing. So we're looking to understand from district leadership now, how is it going? How are all these curriculum components, how are these initiatives rolling out? And what they're discovering through the use of some of these new tools and benchmarking to know where students are at, so we can decide what they need. And it's really, again, back to our strategic plan, sort of meeting that unique potential for each student. So these tools help us know, you might need one thing, I might need another. What resources are available to get you that growth that you need or I need. So we're really looking at return on investment at this point. So, and you'll see that in our meetings that, we're looking to hear from them what insights they're gathering from all of this.
Let's go to building maintenance. This building maintenance became a big issue probably 2-3 years ago. There was a lot of uproar.
Yeah.
Before we talk what the school, you really I think this was addressed with a maintenance line within the budget, correct? Talk about that.
You are correct. So credit to Superintendent Burkhead and former Dr. Dutch, who was our business and finance director, and they were able to cultivate within our budget a line item to support our own building maintenance. And we were able to fund that pretty much on our own, not asking the town for any additional funding for that. So we keep about $250K in that budget line item, and it enables us to, some of these old parts in some of these much older buildings, something breaks, sometimes can be, a $10,000 or more, $30,000 sometimes, boiler situation where the parts don't exist anymore, or all sorts of, maintenance situations like that arise in the various buildings. So we're able to sort of keep that in-house and really fix what needs to be fixed and not make it a capital problem to go to the town to ask for money for something that's been, kicked down the line on our end or anything like that. So we really feel good about that. And even in this really tight budgeting season or, we're still able to fund that. So we're ready if anything happens. That's a pretty good chunk of change to be able to maintain and address problems as they come up, so that students and teachers also are having, a quality to their day, and they're not having, leaky anything. Right. If we can help it.
So let's talk about the things that have happened around in the school buildings. Walk us through a couple of those items.
Sure. Most recently, we've put a little bit of a priority on Wampatuck School, just because obviously with Cushing and Hatherley going offline in the next 2.5 years, Jenkins being a slightly newer building, and so we're looking at equity there in a way, and this is something that Superintendent Burkhead and the school building team really kind of promised from the get-go, that, and we heard from parents too, don't forget about Wampatuck. Wampatuck is actually a year older than Cushing and Hatherley. What about this school? We have historically had projects that have enhanced Wampatuck, so it was in better condition than Cushing, and is in better condition than Cushing and Hatherley, so those were what were prioritized through the MSBA. Nonetheless, we still really want to see Wampatuck, be a comparable building to a new building and to Jenkins. So we've invested over there with a newly designed nurse's office and cafeteria serving area that should provide better ease of use for students with disabilities and anyone with accessibility issues, and that will be completed by spring 2025. We have some new ceilings and new LED lights that were installed in several classrooms in Wampatuck, outdoor area that was freshened up with new pavement and a planned ramp for connecting the building to the playground, again, for accessibility. That library has been updated within the last 5 years. The flooring was updated in Wampatuck, and we continue to focus on Wampatuck also. We're seeing in our other buildings too, Gates, obviously not an older building by any means, but if you don't, what we know is, if we're not maintaining what we have, it doesn't hold up. So we've made some updates to the Black Box Theater, resurfaced and painted that, and done a folding electronic wall there that has been repaired and enhanced there. And another building that we really felt needed our attention was the high school. So that's actually undergone one of our biggest renovations, I guess you could call it, this past year. So we've replaced flooring. That was a 3-stage project that's now complete. We've improved accessibility there with some automatic door openers for the gym. It's supported in part by the Scituate Commission on Disabilities, so thank you to them for bringing that to our attention and working with us there. New bright LED lights throughout the building for students, which has made quite a difference in people's day. The gym got some attention, new mats, basketball hoops, electric hoists for safety and functionality there. New water bottle refilling stations, freshly sprayed roof, and a renovated teacher's lounge here at the high school.
Okay, you mentioned Cushing Hatherley. I just want to touch on this real quick because there hasn't been a lot of there was for a while. Now it's talk about where it is now and what happens in this next year.
Sure. So right now we are on budget, which is probably one of the biggest things to mention. We are still tracking perfectly well there, better than perfectly well even, we think, and we're completely on time with the project, which is obviously equally as important too. So everything is great. You're right. It was kind of a lot, all Cushing Hatherley for a time, and now, as expected, that it's gone into sort of more of a design phase where things are being developed, concepts are being developed. We're starting to see more like textiles from the design group, and really trying to be smart about what we choose that's sustainable, durable, you know, the right fit for Scituate is a really important component that came through from a lot of our focus groups. So we're always looking at that. You know, that's the lens that the school building committee is operating through. We just had a meeting with the MSBA about, I think it's going to be about 2 weeks ago now, maybe 10 days ago. That was a status meeting where they look at our plans and just check and see if everything is up to their standards since they're partially funding the project. That went really well. It was a quick meeting. It went smoothly. They said, fantastic, you're good to go. So more community updates with the superintendent to come as we kind of get through the winter here. We had a few previous to the holidays, and those are well attended. We have a staff-specific and then a community-based one, both at Hatherley. But we're looking to, you know, get out there more again and just share the latest updates probably soon.
I think everything you've talked about in this is great, and I also think some people may watch this interview and go, come on, this is just rah-rah, and there are so many problems going on in the schools. And look, you know as well as I do, yes, there are. So when you encompass everything that we've talked about and issues that are going on, Scituate Public Schools in 2025, what do you think?
How are we doing?
How are we doing?
Well, I mean, to your point, you know, we got over 2,500, around 2,500 students here. We've got 500 staff. You know, there's always going to be fires. There's always going to be situations, and that's honestly what, for me, I mean, that's what drives me to stay involved is the challenges. So I'm here for it, and we're always learning. Things are changing from the state. Things change every day, or it seems like it. But you know, we're always here looking to improve, and again, part of that surveying process is that feedback. So how can we do better? So you're right, there's always challenges, you know, when you're working with that many people and students. But overall, I'm really proud of the work that's being done. I believe SPS is very strong. We're focused. We have an incredible team of leaders and teachers and staff members. Students are amazing. For me, when I get bogged down and I feel overwhelmed, I try to step back and think about, you know, are students graduating from Scituate Public Schools excited, prepared, and ready for the next step, whatever that may be. And you know, if you follow the Instagram accounts each year with the graduates and they get their acceptances, it's that for me is what it's all about. I mean, all the nitty-gritty really comes down to that. When they leave here, are they Are they going on to bigger and better, and what they want to do? And I can pretty honestly answer yes to that question right now. So from what I see, that's what's happening. So we can't, we're not taking our eye off the ball in certain things, but also happy to see students achieving and going to their next steps.
Great.
Yeah.
I appreciate you filling us in on all of that, and look forward to 2025 here at the Scituate Public Schools. And remember, folks, you can get the SPS app today, and make sure you go fill out that communication survey. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.